Welcome to the Ferra Film Podcast. Today we have Tom.
Hi, it's an honor to be here.
It's an honor to have you on, man. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Tommy Poulin. I'm a young and recent filmmaker and videographer who's actually fresh out of college. I went to New England Tech for digital media production, and I've made various projects, or I've worked on various projects, including music videos, a few very low-budget short films, corporate video, documentaries. I was a PA for a feature-length children's film, and just a bunch of other random little nonsense here and there.
So I'll start off with this question. When did the moment when you realized you want to be a filmmaker?
So this is a weird question to answer because there's technically two moments. The first was it was within a year of each other. When I was 7, back then I didn't really watch. I'd watch kids movies just like any other child. And then I saw Jaws for the first time, and even though I was terrified for months of water and sharks and all that, something about it interested me, and I thought for a second, oh, maybe I want to be an actor. Maybe I want to be in films. A year later is when I watched the Indiana Jones trilogy, because at the time Crystal Skull wasn't out, and that's when I knew that I wanted to be behind the camera. And from there, I drew from Steven Spielberg as inspiration, as I know a lot of people do. And yeah, ever since then, I've known that I've wanted to work in this field.
So what is your favorite project that you did?
My favorite? It's probably this short little, I believe it's 4.5 minutes, 5 minutes long, little documentary about the Disney parks. I'm a huge Disney fan. Zach, I know you know that. And although it wasn't an official thing for the company, it was just something fun that I made. It was fun being able to go to the parks, film, and it was a bit of like a passion project for me. Because again, I love everything Disney, and being able to talk about it and shine some light on it to people that might not know as much as I do or know the intricate workings of that. It was definitely a lot of fun to make, and just the creativity that I was allowed on it.
Nice. So this is a fun question for you. So
Okay.
Is there any big project that you want to be a part of, and why?
Oof. So I've got two. I would love, and I know it might be a cliche thing, but I would love to work on a Marvel movie. Within the past few years, I've been obsessed with the MCU, and being a part of that, I feel would be just amazing. But ultimately, I want to work on sort of my magnum opus, just one big film reminiscent of 70s and 80s Hollywood. That's where I draw a lot of my inspiration from currently in terms of films, and that's what I want to pay homage to. Even though I wasn't alive back then, it's still a time that interests me a lot, and ultimately that's what I want to work towards, just something to show my respect to that period in filmmaking.
So do you have any advice for like any filmmakers out there that are listening to this?
Yeah, I've definitely got a few pieces. The first is, which I know I probably shouldn't be saying this, especially as a recent college graduate. You generally don't need college. It definitely helps out a lot. It allows you to understand the terminology, the technology, a basic understanding of the pace and what's requested and required of you. But you don't necessarily have to go to college for this. If you're passionate enough and you're able to get your hands on a camera or some lighting equipment or some sound equipment, whatever it is that you want to do that, and just spend as much time behind it as possible. That way you don't have to spend a ton of money going to a school. With that said, I'm very grateful for being able to go to such a great school, and it definitely helped me out a lot, both in terms of knowledge and connections and just memories in general. But you don't need that in order to succeed in this field, and that goes for filmmaking, it goes for television, it goes for corporate video, whatever specific avenue you want to go through in here. And another thing that I figured out recently, since I'm in the very early development stages of a feature-length, a low-budget feature-length film, is if you don't have any time constraints, obviously if you've got a deadline you have to meet, this piece of advice wouldn't apply. But spend as much time in development as you can, not only to make the best piece of work that you can, because the work's only as good as what you envision. If you don't have any idea of what you want to do, or your very basic understanding of what you want to do, you can't really build off that. But if you spend a lot of time creating scripts and just brainstorming ideas, it helps out tremendously. And even the ideas that you brainstorm during this time that you don't use, you can always just keep for a different time, whether you use those ideas directly or you draw from them, build upon them. It's something that helps out a lot. And although it can be a little stressful, in my opinion, it's a very therapeutic thing. And it's very fulfilling sitting down and getting a script completely made and just looking at your final work and be like, I made this. Now I can actually start on this.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm in the process right now, actually, come up with my feature script too, by the way, but I'm taking a lot
Okay.
of time on it.
No, yeah, that's definitely a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. So what gear you mainly use?
So, unlike Uzak, who's blessed to have a black magic, I do have a few cameras that I use. I've got 4 in total. I've got one camcorder, that being a JVC GYHM 170U, which Zach, I know you know very well from our school. And although it's not a phenomenal camera, at the time it was the camera that I was using at my school, so I wanted to get it to learn it better. And although quality-wise it's not the greatest, and it is a very clunky camera, it has helped me out a lot in terms of multi-camera shoots and things like that. I've got 2 DSLRs. The first was actually a hand-me-down gift for when I graduated high school, a Pentax K30. And although it's not nearly as good as what it was back when I graduated and before that, I like holding on to it as sort of just a memento and to see where I've come from and my progression. But the DSLR that I use currently is my Canon T7i, which is a camera that I recommend any low budget and new filmmaker to get. It's a $400 camera off Amazon and pretty much any other place, and it's a full bundle. And it's a very nice camera at that. So I got it mainly because of the price, since it's so low. You rarely see cameras that low can come with as much as it does, and it is, again, quality wise very, very nice. And in terms of the camera that I use the most, I use a DJI Osmo Pocket. I think DJI is a phenomenal company in terms of their gimbals. The Ronin is one of the greatest handheld stabilizers I've ever seen. But the Osmo Pocket, it's very nice. It's very small. Being able to connect it to your phone allows so many more opportunities, and I just think it's phenomenal. Outside of that, I just have a basic lighting kit that I keep building on. Green screen. I use a Tascam for my audio recorders. For software, I use the Adobe Cloud, which I know a lot of people do use, especially younger filmmakers. It's just easier. Being able to get the student discount is very nice, and everything all in one big cloud bundle is phenomenal.
So what is your goal in the future?
So my goal, I would say, is to not necessarily be a famous director or producer in Hollywood, although that would definitely be nice. I just want to be successful, and I want to feel fulfilled with what I've done. I do want to be a director. That's where I hope I end up one day. Between that, producing does interest me a little bit. Script writing I absolutely love. I'm a very creative person in my opinion. I love telling stories. So script writing and directing are the perfect film job for you for that. But again, I don't necessarily want to be famous, although it would be very nice. I just want to, at the end of the day, feel that, okay, what I did, I was happy about, I'm passionate about, and it inspired someone at the very least. I just want to be able to inspire someone with where I go.
No, yeah, definitely. I definitely do agree with that answer, honestly. If you're just doing this, I'll just do this to be famous. Famous, like, no, like, that's not how it goes. Like, if you're doing it for the money and famous, like...
Exactly. You're personally outside of the money and the fame. You're not going to receive anything out of it. You're not going to feel as good as you would if you're doing it because you like doing it.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it should be a passion. Which
Exactly.
Is, like, you also, it's a passion.
Yep. And although that's a very big thing in filmmaking. It goes for everything else too. I feel that's good life advice in general. Just do something you're passionate about, not something that you can get lots of money out of.
Yeah, definitely. So what is your favorite part about being a filmmaker?
Definitely telling stories. Again, like I just said, I love telling stories. I love hearing stories. Just stories in general, I think, are so vital to human nature. People talking, most of the time, we're telling stories. I've been telling you guys stories this entire time about who I am, what I want to be, how I've gotten to this point. And I feel telling stories if you tell a good story, people can walk away from it and have something new, whether it's a new understanding of something, a new feeling, or whatever. It's a great way to inspire people, and it's just I don't know, it makes me feel that I've done something if I tell a good story.
Definitely. It's like what you want to take your audience for a journey.
Exactly.
That's how I feel about films when I watch them. It definitely takes me on a journey. It makes me
Mm-hmm.
escape the world, how all stories should be.
Mm-hmm. Like even though at this point, because of my knowledge and everything, when I sit down to watch a movie, I take in little nuances and all the technical aspects of it. Now, my primary goal isn't to learn from the movie, at least for the first viewing of it. I wanted to be immersed in a world and have the story presented to me.
So I know you said this already, but who inspired you as a filmmaker?
Steven Spielberg, 100%. And I know he's like a common answer for a lot of people, but he's just a legend, an absolute legend in the film industry. One of his first movies being Jaws, the movie that made the term blockbuster and that put him on the map. The fact that was his second movie after Duel, or his second feature-length film, is just crazy to think. On top of that, he's got the Indiana Jones series, he's got Jurassic Park, Close Encounters, E.T., Color Purple, Schindler's List, Saving Private Ryan. There's so much that he's done to filmmaking, and it inspires me, especially when I was younger. I had to do a project on him, and just reading about his upbringing, his childhood. He wasn't born into like a famous or rich family. He was a lot like us, and the majority of what a young filmmaker is. He had an inspiration, and he followed that. But other than him, although I know for a fact I won't ever be able to make films like him, Kurosawa is huge, especially recently to me. The classic black and white samurai films are a key point in cinema history, and just the stories he's able to tell with them, and the fact that they're inspiration for some of my other favorite films, Magnificent Seven, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, in my opinion, the greatest Western of all time. The fact that he was an inspiration for so many is another inspiration to me.
Definitely. Those are two big names on it, especially Steven Spielberg, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Even just talking about him, I get a smile on my face just thinking about all of his work, and hopefully one day being able to tell stories like him.
Oh yeah, definitely. I definitely look up to him too.
Mm-hmm.
So, favorite movies and TV shows?
Okay. So for my favorite film of all time is the third Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. It's the Lord of the Rings series and The Hobbit into fantasy, which is a very big part of me growing up, especially my teenage years. And I thought it was just a phenomenal ending to that trilogy and that saga. Outside of that, I know I've mentioned Jaws, Indiana Jones. My favorite in that series is The Last Crusade. I know this is a little bit of a weird pick since it's a very random movie, but 2014's Fury, the World War II film about tank battles with Brad Pitt, Logan Lerman. Something about that I absolutely love. I love pieces or work by Disney. My favorite being Tangled. For TV shows, I love The Mandalorian. I know that's a big thing, especially at the time of us filming this. It's 4 days away from season 2, and I'm very excited for that.
Sorry.
I'm very excited. I keep forgetting that it's this week, and it makes me very happy thinking about it. But I love that. First few seasons of Game of Thrones, Vikings. In terms of TV, I tend to like fantasy a lot more. Just because to me, when I watch a fantasy series, it's less like I'm watching a TV series and more like I'm watching mini movies. I love anime. I think anime is a phenomenal thing. My favorite being JoJo's Bizarre Adventure in that, which I know is a bad rep, but outside of a pretty awful fan base, it's a very good show. Westworld, I think, is a phenomenal show. And yeah, there's very few shows in terms of dramas and stuff that I dislike, because I think a lot of work is put into them, and that work is to make something that transcends television, which I think is phenomenal.
Yeah, definitely good choices, honestly.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
So I have 2 more questions for you, and then we'll start wrapping up, okay?
Yeah, sounds good.
So any plans for you in the future, or you have right now?
So again, I'm working on a feature length, or a little bit under feature length film. It's been very early development. I actually just had started brainstorming ideas a few days ago, so I don't really have too much to talk about for that. Other than that, I am working freelance in corporate video, so you never know when something might pop up for that. Hopefully something soon. I would very much appreciate that. Other than that, though, nothing extreme. I know it's a very boring answer, but especially because of COVID and
No, yeah, not really.
finishing up school, I'm just trying to figure out what's going on right now in my life. So,
Oh, yeah, yeah. No, I'm definitely looking for your first visa. I didn't know you're making
thank you.
plans, but I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah,
Honestly.
definitely. Maybe we can even work together on it.
Dude, it'll be an honor, man.
Yep, and I'd love to have you be a part of it.
So do you have any questions like for me you want to know? Well, I'm saying we already know each other, but you have any questions?
Exactly. I know you explained it to me, but I feel this would be good for the camera. What inspired you exactly for filmmaking?
I think honestly, what inspired me for filmmaking is just like telling a story to the audience, not to lie. Like what I can get my audience to see, what I'm trying to see. I can show them and take them on a journey. That inspired me. Also. Especially like looking for the viewfinder, I can like be like, because a lot of times I explain like, I want to get this shot, get this shot, but they don't understand like what I'm trying to say. But when I physically show them, you know what I mean? It takes.
No,
yep. That's what I love about honestly. I love like showing what I want like through my eyes to my audience and telling stories. Yeah, that inspires me.
I completely agree with that. Yep, I completely agree with that. Yeah. And another one I have for you is, I know you're finishing up your time at New England Tech for digital media. What's your opinions on it? Like, what do you think about it?
I mean, I like the school. I do like the school because even though like again, like you said, like you don't really need to go to college, but I feel like I could benefit from the experience that it brought me. That's why I'm only going for my associates, and then I'm gonna try to figure out things on my own. Like I wanted the school to show me the buttons, but I want to continue learning throughout my path.
No, that's completely fair. Because the way I looked at it is, when I was in my associates, it was my associates was teaching me, and my bachelor's sort of refined what I knew, and like that's the way I look at it. So you don't necessarily need the bachelor's if you can refine your knowledge on your own.
No, yeah, definitely. That's how I want to learn. I want to figure out everything myself. It's just like I want to get to the journey I'm on right now, like making short films, and then eventually making my first feature, which is in development, but I'm not really on it all the time.
No, that's completely fair. I'm very, very excited to hear more about that.
Yeah, definitely. That's it for the Ferra Film Podcast. Thank you, Tommy, again for coming on here. It was an honor speaking with you.
Thank you for having me. It was an honor to be here, in all honesty.
Oh, yeah, definitely.